for this particular meeting, Garrett says, hey, Jaime, I want you to talk about old school. And all I heard in my brain was, give me some of that old school. Give me some of that old school, right? And I'm thinking, old school? Like, what are you talking about? Oh, Jaime, you've been around for a long time. As Jake says, Jaime was in the field with the dinosaurs, closed a couple dinosaurs kind of thing. And so I kept thinking, and I'm going to tie this towards the end, old school versus new school, but I do want to talk about skill and will. All right? I really think that, and listen, I love studying success. I am a success literature junkie. I love biographies. I love, just reading. One of my favorite books is the Forbes Top 40 Business Stories of All Time. So it's kind of like 40 books within one book. So pick your superstar you want to follow, like Mary Kay Ash. She started Mary Kay Cosmetics here in Dallas, Texas. Bill Gates, J.D. Rockefeller, list goes on. And so I do want to say that if you were to give me the simplest formula for success, I would say skill plus will equals results. Results in anything. I mean, results are driven from a combination of skill, your ability to do something well, that's skill, and from will, determination and desire to achieve something. So let's back test this a little bit. Let's talk about weight loss. For 30 years, this has been on my mind. And the formula that I used to have that I thought was the simplest formula was move more and eat less. But then in this last couple years, I learned that seed oils are a bad thing. Any of you learned that seed oils are bad? Like there's so much stuff in your home that's bad stuff. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, it's a little more complicated, Jaime, but can you still make it simple? Well, yeah, the skill of what exactly to eat. I think there is some skill to that. It's just simply me asking my wife, what am I allowed to eat? What can't I eat? And the skill of what to do at the gym. Apparently, what I do in my 50s at the gym should not be the same exercises that I did in my 20s. So the skill, and then the will. The will hasn't changed in the gym at all. It's the discipline to exercise and eat the right foods. I also got to backtest this formula coaching softball, Little League softball, with 7 and 8-year-old girls. And so obviously there's a lot of skills involved, throwing, catching, hitting, running. And it's amazing. A lot of kids just don't know how to do these things. So it's like, okay, let's do it again. Okay, so skill. And then the will, desire to show up for practice come rain or shine. Go figure. You put skill and will together and you're going to win some baseball games or win some softball games. So I really think that formula is true. So the question that I pose is, what skills must I acquire to be successful in this space? And I came up with 3. I'm really trying to simplify this because I'm like, man, I can come up with 30 different skills. I'm like, I think there's 3. Let's just check this out. And I'm willing to bet if I were to ask you, what's the first skill that you got to work on? I bet you guys know the answer. People skills. Welcome to the people business. You don't have to be a coder or a programmer here, but you've got to be great at people. And so under the topic of people skills, I've got 3 subcategories. This seems to be popular. EQ, your emotional quotient. How do people feel around you? And I remember, hearing this for the first time. I remember hearing Jaime, people won't remember what you did or what you said. They will simply remember how they felt about themselves when they were in your presence. And I'm like, is that true? And I'm like, hey, who's my earliest teacher? And I remember Mrs. Flory, my kindergarten teacher. What did I learn from Mrs. Flory? I have no idea. I can't remember. I didn't learn a damn thing from Mrs. Flory. Do I remember what she said to me? I don't have a clue. I don't remember any of the conversations we had. Jaime, do you remember how you felt? Oh, I felt great about myself. She was always making me feel good about myself. I love Mrs. Flory, but I can't remember anything she did or said. So those EQ muscles, I think, are important. How do people feel around you? How do your customers feel around you? How do the team members feel around you? Your counterparts that work for your client, how do they feel around you? But I think that's really important. Another subcategory under people skills is your ability to persuade and influence. Now, I learned that influence is made up of three things. So just picture a pie chart. So it's made up of three things. So your choice of words. Okay, words is one of the things that make up influence, but words is the smallest portion of influence. It makes up 7%. So remember, when I learned that, I'm asking my new guys to go home and memorize the pitch. Now, obviously, the words are important, but at best, it's only going to influence up to 7%. How you say those words is the second part of it. It's the tonalities or the voice fluctuation. That's 38% of influence. So you've got 7% with words, you've got 38% with tonalities, and then body language makes up the remaining 55%. Your face, do the eyebrows go up? Do they go down? How do you move your hands? But the body language is super important. But I would say your ability to persuade and influence is a subcategory of people skills. And the third subcategory is communication. Now, I know we were all formally trained on how to communicate. You took reading in school, as did I. You also took writing classes. You took speaking classes. You had to get up in front of the class and speak. But by a show of hands, how many of you took a class on how to listen? Like zero. Isn't that crazy? That something so important, like your ability to listen, was just never taught to us. Like we didn't get the full spectrum of communication. Now, what I've learned, and those of you that are super competent salespeople, you have learned how to listen, because if you listen well, the customer will tell you how they want to be closed. You know this is a true statement. And for those that have to work on their listening, just, hey, that will really, really help you make more money. If you listen well, your customer will tell you how he or she wants to be closed. So you have to be a great listener. When you're building a team, you've got to be a great listener for your people. There's not a one-size-fits-all. Everybody's motivated by the same thing. Not true. Listen to your people. They'll tell you what motivates them. They'll tell you what drives them. You'll be a better leader for them. But I'm telling you, leaders are listeners. Okay, so people skills. The second skill, I have to really think about this. Is this really a skill? Character development skills. Is it really a skill to develop your character? Don't you have your character? We come into the business with our character. You're telling me it's a skill? Well, yeah, you can choose your character. And just like going to the gym, you got to work these muscles. A couple examples. The characteristic of being resilient, right? The ability to bounce back. I mean, I want to have that on my resume. It's funny, the more you fall on your face and get back up, you start figuring out that there's actually a process here. There's a process. There's certain rituals you can go through. I mean, some people, they need a really good night's sleep. They don't want to talk to somebody. Some people, they go to the gym and they take their frustration out on the treadmill. But you'll learn the more you fall down and pick yourself back up, you can really develop the skill of being resilient. The characteristic of follow through, like being a person of your word. The characteristic of being an honest and integrity-driven person. I mean, I really believe these are skills that the more you work at this, like repetition is the motor of learning. But I think the skill of character development skills is essential. And then the last one is problem-solving skills. This became a popular phrase for me during COVID, because COVID, I mean, listen, we had to kind of reinvent everything during COVID. I remember the two worst words put together side by side when Dr. Fauci was talking, and it's like, hey, get ready for the 2-week shutdown. Social distancing. I'm like, I'm kind of in a non-social distancing business. We're the last business on earth that wants to hear those two words side by side. And so here's the phrase that I said a lot. I'm like, it's not a lack of resources preventing us from succeeding. It's a lack of resourcefulness. So even things like rep's wearing a mask in the field. Jamie, I can't smile. And then somebody that was resourceful came up with the term smizing. You smile with your eyes. I'm like, show me what are you talking about, man? How do you see your teeth with your eyes? And somebody showed me with a mask and how their eyes kind of lit up like, oh, that's what smizing is. Oh, that's very good. That's resourcefulness. Problem-solving skills. I tell my kids all the time, listen, you want to get rich, gravitate to problems. If you can find the solution to people's problems, you will get rich. So embrace problems and be a great problem solver. These 3 skills, I believe, will help you to sell, to help you to recruit, and help you to develop a team. All right, so that's the skill portion. Now, will. What kind of will do I need to be successful here? And so then I started asking myself, what is the relationship between effort and outcome? This is where that old school stuff kicks in, old school, okay? What's the relationship? Well, my dad tells me in the old days, okay, when my father went to school, a college degree gave you a big advantage. He said that he had employers lining up to hire him when he graduated. There were plenty of recruiters on campus, and he could have taught, my dad was a teacher for 37 years, he could have taught in any city of his choice. Recently, I heard Conan O'Brien give he was speaking to a graduation class. I can't remember, which class, which school this was, but he started off saying, congratulations, graduates. You have now separated yourself from the 8% that don't have degrees. So the old school mentality of, hey, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, get married, get a white picket fence, I think this crew here knows that that is outdated advice. And it's outdated advice because, I don't know if you can see this chart. I wanted to come up with a little chart for you. I'll definitely show it to the camera. Whether you guys can see this or not, I'm not sure. But let me just explain the relationship from my perspective. Well, in the old days, if you gave a poor effort, I get effort on this column, outcome on this column. A poor effort netted you poor results. It would be a poor outcome. I put on here meh, like meh. Effort gave you meh results. A good effort gave you good results. Great effort gave you great results. And an excellent effort gave you excellent results. If I showed this to my father, he would agree and say, yeah, Jamie, that's the way the world works. No, Dad, that's the way the world used to work. It doesn't work like that anymore. And the reason it doesn't work like that anymore is the world has become way more competitive. See, there's a couple things that make it competitive. Globalization just is one example. In the old days, if you lived in Dallas and let's say you lived in Fort Worth, Texas, you're competing with whatever the job was, you're competing with locals in Fort Worth, Texas for that job. Well, it's not like that anymore. Now you live in Fort Worth, you're competing with the locals in Fort Worth, but you're also competing with people that can do the same job remotely in other countries where you can pay them a fraction of the wage. So it's way more competitive, it's way harder. You guys had to study and work harder in school than the previous generation, and anybody that calls you lazy is crazy. Because I bet if you had a camera on your parents when they went to school, I don't think they did a lot. I think you guys worked way harder. And part of that might be good because it's preparation for globalization. And the other thing that's a big concern that I think we should all be thinking about, at least my kids are thinking about this before they go spending, I'm looking at the cost of my son's 4-year engineering degree that he's potentially going to pursue. It's going to cost his old man at least $400,000. So before we spend that much money on the college education, we're asking a great question. Hey, how will AI affect this job? Oh yeah, Dad, architecture? Yeah, AI will probably do a better job than me. I'm like, we sure we want to go down that path? Yeah, maybe not. A couple years ago, or within a couple years, I had, this is where I learned that a 50-year-old body isn't like a 20-year-old body, and I had a hernia issue, and I needed surgery. That's what you do when you you got to get it fixed. You have to get surgery. So the surgeon asks me if he would like me to perform, if I would like him to perform the surgery or if I preferred the bot. And I said, the bot. And he saw that I had this concern on my face, and he says, well, don't worry, I'll be behind the robot. It's not going to cut you in half or something like that. And I'm like, well, what do you suggest? What do you recommend? He says, well, listen, the robot isn't going to be fighting with his wife the night before. The robot isn't going to drink too many glasses of wine the night before. The robot's not going to be jittery because he had too much caffeine. He said, the robot's going to be perfect. I'm like, okay, then I'll get the robot to perform surgery on me. And the robot did. And look at me. I'm just kidding. You don't look at me, but I'm like, that was my first kind of bot experience. So here's a surgeon. How much money did that surgeon spend on college? Like, that might be an obsolete position in the next however long. I don't know. Drivers, I mean, in LA, there's not even a human being behind the Uber wheel anymore. It's all ran on computers. So the new world, this is my new world chart. Again, we're talking about will here. And we need to come up with some new language because I put a couple blanks on here. In today's new world, a meh effort nets you poor results. And I'm willing to bet as I rattle through this, something tells me this generation is going to agree with this chart. A good effort will net you meh results. A great effort will net you good results. Excellent effort nets you great results. Okay, so then let's fill in the blank then for poor. You put in a poor effort, well, you're out. Like N/A, not available, you're out. We're not even registering you. Get lost, see you later. You're out. Okay, well, Jamie, I want an excellent outcome. What's the word that I should use to describe the effort if what the outcome is? I don't just want to settle for great. I don't want to put in an excellent effort and settle for great. I want an excellent outcome. The word that I use is outstanding. You've got to be outstanding in your effort. One of the things that drives me crazy, one of the phrases that drives me a little nuts, is I'm going to work smart, not hard. The number of times I've heard that phrase is just too many. And that, in my opinion, that's an example of our education system failing us. The right statement is, I'm going to work smart and I'm going to work hard. And in my opinion, the key to having strong will is your purpose and conviction must be greater than how you feel. For example, years ago, I'm a big Kobe Bryant fan, big Lakers fan, the Mamba mentality was kind of a thing. I'm like, hey, I subscribe to Mamba mentality. Better today than I was yesterday, better tomorrow than I am today. Okay, well, that purpose and conviction must be greater than how I feel in the moment. Some of you might know Jocko Willink. He's a former Navy SEAL and author of Extreme Ownership. He came up with a phrase that embodies this. Nobody cares, work harder. I know you've seen this on a few NFL t-shirts before. Jocko says that phrase is a reminder to take full responsibility for one's actions and results, regardless of external circumstances or perceived lack of support. In my opinion, your I will is more important than your IQ. So focus on acquiring the big 3 skills, as I outlined. Focus on improving your will or your effort to the standard of outstanding. Sprinkle a little time into the equation, and you should find yourself in a position that you'll be proud of.